let's talk about the World Series because it has been a wild ride, honestly. Game 1 especially was incredible. I was losing it. I was yelling and screaming and doing all the things, and luckily from where I watch the games, my kid is protected from me, which is, I think, important for her future therapy appointments. Anyway,
well, on Baseball Family, if you didn't catch it on YouTube or on TikTok, Brig said if you did not watch Game 1, you were wrong, and he is absolutely right about that. Everybody should have watched Game 1. If you haven't watched it yet, go back and see if you can find a replay. Because I mean, even if you watch like the last 3 innings, 8th, 9th, and 10th, maybe the 7th, 8th, 9th,
you got to start on 7th. Yeah, I'd start at the 7th inning.
Yeah, then,
it was unbelievable,
unreal, absolutely
it was
amazing,
so good. So first of all, let me say that I wrote them off in Game 1. As soon as I was halfway to writing them off when it was 2-0, and then by the time it was 5-0, I was done.
Yeah,
and I was
I was too.
I was putting in the work just because I was going through the motions watching the game. But I sat back thinking, no way. Okay, whatever. We saw this coming. This is entirely what I thought would happen. And then, boom! They get through the 5th inning. Verlander got roughed up. And I don't even know how to describe it. He allowed 5 runs across 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, and only recorded 5 strikeouts. 5 strikeouts in his 5 innings. I was shocked. I shouldn't have been shocked, though, because what I'm noticing and what Brad is noticing and what the whole world is noticing is that this is what Justin Verlander does in the World Series. And it is besmirching his Hall of Fame hopes and dreams. It is. I don't think it'll preclude him from getting in, but I think it is making it harder.
So this is the thing. This is the thing, is that, like, if anybody wants to talk down on Clayton Kershaw about his performances in the postseason, Justin Verlander absolutely has to be included in that conversation. If anybody anywhere is going to be like, well, Clayton Kershaw kind of a choker in the playoffs, well, you got to include Justin Verlander, because let's look at this real quick. In this year alone in the postseason, so that was his 3rd appearance, because the Astros have played like next to no games in the postseason this year because they haven't had to. But so the first game against the Mariners, his offense bailed him out, to be honest with you. He went 4 innings, gave up 10 hits, 6 runs, walked 1, struck out 3 was all, and gave up a home run. Okay, it was a hit parade against Seattle. But then he goes into New York and he redeems himself, goes 6 innings, strong innings, 3 hits, 1 run, struck out 11, gave up 1 home run and hit a batter. But then he comes into the World Series, and like Briggs said, 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, 5 strikeouts is all during that time, 2 walks. Like, he's pounding the zone like he does, but he's not overbearing against these good teams.
I don't know what's up. Yeah. Well, and he gave up 3. So the Phillies come back from a 5-0 deficit, and it all started in the 4. It took to the 4th inning for them to score.
Yeah.
And they scored 3 of those 5 runs that they came back from, and then in the 4th, and then in the 5th they scored the other 2, and then we were deadlocked all the way through the 9th inning. Through the 9th inning, the World Series went into extra innings Game 1.
Well, and it wouldn't have gone into extra innings if Nick Castellanos hadn't made that sliding catch.
Bro, the whole game was full of incredible defensive plays, especially by Philly.
Yeah.
Like, those dudes, their defensive game was so dialed in all day, and nobody expected Nick Castellanos to be the guy to make a heroic play. It's like, what? It was so dirt to dirt from Castellanos. Like, I just sat there like this, like, oh no, oh no. They had runners in scoring position.
Yeah, Altuve on second base.
Sure. Yep. Man, and then he dove and slid and caught it, and I'm still excited.
So they asked him about that after the game. Said, did you think you would be able to make that catch? And he's like, sometimes during the season, I thought this was really interesting. It says, sometimes during the season, it gets hard to stay focused and pay attention out there. He's like, but you get to the postseason, you don't have a choice. You have to stay focused and pay attention for every single pitch, because you could have a situation like that. And I was like, man, that's really interesting hearing that from a big leaguer. I'm like, Wilson had a game that night and he's out in center field and I'm yelling at him, trying to get him to pay attention. I'm like, even the big leaguers have a hard time paying attention in the outfield. I had no idea. I just thought everybody was like laser focused because they were professionals, right? But I'm not laser focused at my job all day.
I feel like part of the key to being a professional is knowing when you don't have to be laser focused.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I think you're right.
But then there's the video of Altuve during the pre-pitches, like throwing his glove up and down and spinning it around and just horsing around. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you know when to be on and you know when to be off. And I think that's
right. So you would think that when the ball is being pitched, he's laser focused and let himself relax between innings or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe he's got a little bit of ADHD out there.
Don't we all?
I think we all do.
It's got to be the garden hoses. Anyway.
You're right.
Something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
So let's move on to extra innings here real quick because JT Realmuto hit an extra inning home run. This is the first time a catcher has hit a go-ahead home run in extra innings in the World Series with the roof closed on grass ever in the history of baseball, by the way.
The first time.
That's amazing.
Roof closed.
Yeah, with grass. The roof closed. But it's the first time a catcher has hit a go-ahead home run in extra innings in the World Series since Carlton Fisk. You know that one in 1975 in Game 6. The one where he's waving it fair. Yeah, that one.
That's unbelievable.
I came up with that stat just now, Brig.
I loved it.
Got very excited about that.
I'm still trying not to laugh out loud. I don't know. Can't keep it together tonight.
So the Phillies took game 1. They took home field. Like, that's the biggest thing for me is like when you're going in as a visiting team, like if you can get game 1, heck yes, you've got the job done. Game 2 is gravy at that point because you've got home field going home
for 3 games.
And that's a huge deal. I hate the 2-3-2 format, but in this case, I'm like, go Phils.
Yeah, but no, here you are. Here you are telling us that home field advantage doesn't matter. And you're so against it, and you're such a poopy pants about it.
It does, but man.
And now you're like, oh baby, and now they get to go home. It's so exciting.
I'm nothing if not inconsistent, Brig. Especially when it comes to
you don't mess with tradition, Brad. You just don't.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
You are as God made you.
I am what I am, and that's all that I am. But let's go on and talk about game 2 real quick.
All right.
So Framber Valdez, by the way, holy smokes, that dude was dominant. Like, unreal. Absolutely just mowed everybody down. He went 6 1/3, gave up 4 hits was all, 1 run, 3 walks was all, struck out 9. So this was another quality start from him. He had 25 in a row this year. That's a record. And for those of you who don't know what a quality start is, it is an actual thing that is measured by at least 6 innings and allowing just 3 runs or fewer during that start. And Valdez, that's what he does. That is what he does. He keeps the opponents off the board. So I don't know if I expected the Phillies to win that one or show the way they did against Verlander, because I was never waiting for them. I wasn't waiting for them to have that breakout inning like they did against Verlander.
No.
Right? Like the way that he was dealing and the way that he works, Valdez works, is like this is the Astros game for sure. I was thinking maybe once they got to the bullpen, but that was the only shot they had.
Okay, and I got to bring that up. That's a great point because their bullpen's amazing, right? We've talked about that forever. And that's where they broke down in game 2, which is more to the point that Houston's not infallible. And we saw that in game 1, but then Phillies fans saw that there's a way to exploit Houston's offense or defense at the bullpen level. And I was not sure that was possible. And here we go.
So that bullpen for Houston, though, like they still only gave up in just a couple innings. Like Rafael Montero went 1 2/3. Ryan Presley came in and pitched an inning. They still only gave up 2 hits. They struck out 2. They walked 1. But I don't know. It's really interesting because it felt like the Phillies had more of a chance against the bullpen. And I don't know if it's because they weren't striking him out at the same rate that Valdez was. So it's like they're putting him in play. Like I think it was Alec Boehm had a, or no, it was Gene Segura. Gene Segura had a ball out to left field that was literally like 5 feet towards center of the Crawford boxes.
Oh,
It's like if that ball is pulled just a touch more, it's off the wall for a double and a run scores. Instead, it was an out.
right.
Instead, it was just a loud out.
Yeah.
And the runner doesn't advance. So I don't know. It's crazy though the way that they're able to get those outs, and like I said, Ben did not break because that's what bullpens are supposed to do.
It's true.
So that's been like the biggest thing because they only gave up 1 run in game 1. Granted, it was a big deal.
Yeah,
but only 1.
Right. But that's why I think it's even more significant that the Phillies were able to punch holes in the bullpen in game 2 at all.
Right, because you get to a certain point, you're putting the ball in play enough. I feel like eventually it's going to break through.
Yeah.
Right, and especially at home, like I don't know, like that might still be a routine fly ball at the Phillies ballpark. That might be close. I don't know. That might be off the wall. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly the dimensions comparing the two, but it feels like eventually they're going to break through with those. If they can just keep putting the ball in play, that's what's going to get them.
Which is what we keep saying. The occasional home run to capitalize on all of the fundamental small ball that gets you through. And that's what happened in game 1. Tons and tons and tons of small ball.
Right.
And then the game-winning home run.
Well, and back-to-back doubles helped the Astros in game 2.
Exactly.
So,
but they were actually putting together quality at-bats with contact and putting the ball in play, which is what they were unable to do largely during game 1 and most of the season, to be honest with you.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah, that's what we talked about before. Yeah, I actually thought it was interesting that they hit that many doubles in a row to score that many runs in the first inning.